Discover the incredible, heartwarming journey of Apollo. 10 life-changing myths revealed. In a modest suburban neighborhood, Apollo stood at the edge of his driveway, a solitary figure in the midday sun, clutching a wrench and wearing a hopeful smile that spoke of resilience. As the summer breeze rustled through the leaves of the oak tree above, that hope felt almost palpable, like a spark waiting to ignite. A veteran and skilled handyman, Apollo was no stranger to hard work. His hands were strong, calloused from years of building, repairing, and simply getting on with life. Yet, as he looked down the street lined with white picket fences and luxury cars, a pang of doubt twisted his gut. Here in this community of affluence, Apollo felt the weight of judgment heavy on his shoulders. As if each step he took was traced by disapproving eyes, that he juggled the responsibilities of caring for his aging parents while providing for his own family, a constant dance of balancing duties and aspirations. The shimmering dreams of stability and community, respect hovered just out of reach, like a mirage in the desert, beautiful but unattainable. His parents relied on him and his children looked up to him as their rock. But in the quiet moments, Apollo wished for a deeper connection, a sense of belonging. On a sunny afternoon that felt so perfect it could have been pulled from a storybook, devastating news rippled through the neighborhood like shockwaves. The beloved community center, a haven filled with laughter and memories, faced closure due to budget cuts. Panic set in. Apollo's heart raced. That center had been a lifeline, a refuge where he had played as a child, made friends, and forged dreams. He couldn't let it slip away. With raw determination ignited in his chest, Apollo vowed to save the community center. He organized meetings at local homes, their living rooms buzzing with anxious conversation. But not everyone saw his vision. Some neighbors, draped in designer clothes, dismissed his efforts, their words sharp and critical. "What does a handyman know about running a community?" they'd sneer. The sting of their judgment filled the air with tension, but Apollo clung tight to the memories of friends who had grown alongside him in that center. Together, they had shared laughter, joy, and the restless spirit of childhood. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days turned into weeks, the community began to rally around Apollo. Stories flowed like wine at a family gathering. Each tale stoked the flames of solidarity. Children spoke of the joy the center brought to their lives. Parents reminisced about late-night meetings, and old friendships rekindled. Yet, with every gathering, new obstacles emerged. Funding seemed to vanish, and the local government's indifference felt overwhelming. But just when Apollo's spirit began to wane, inspiration hit him like a lightning bolt. He dusted off his woodworking tools, honed over years spent at his father's side. He began crafting beautiful pieces, each one a testament to love and determination. As the buzz about his talent spread, something shifted. Whispers turned into respect, even drawing attention from his critical father. The stakes were higher than ever. Apollo stood at a crossroads. The future of the center and his own aspirations lay before him. Would he bridge the gap between the judgment of others and his own dreams? Just as he prepared to take the next step, a rumor surfaced that threatened everything he had fought for. The future was uncertain, and the community braced for what was to come. Apollo found himself standing in front of a small crowd gathered at the old community center, their faces a mix of hope and worry. Wooden tables were scattered inside, adorned with colorful banners made by local kids. He looked down at the handcrafted pieces surrounding him, gifts of his labor that now seemed like talismans for their shared future. Yet, lurking beneath the cheerful decorations was a palpable tension. The earlier buzz that had invigorated the community with purpose was now clouded by uncertainty. As he began to speak, his heart raced. "Thank you all for coming," he said, his voice steady despite the tremors within. We are here because we believe in this center. We believe in what it means to our families, our children, our memories. He felt the eyes of the crowd on him, each gaze filled with expectation. Some were supportive, while others carried that familiar critical weight. But today, he felt emboldened by their presence. Together, he continued, we can save this place. But I need your help. The room echoed with murmurs. Some nodded in agreement, while a few rolled their eyes. It was like pulling threads in a tapestry, some held tight while others threatened to unravel. As he outlined his plans for fundraisers and community events, he could see the hesitation in their eyes. But then something incredible happened. An elderly woman, Mrs. Green, raised her hand. I still have some of my late husband's tools in the garage. I'd love to donate them, she said with a smile, and the room lit up one by one. Stories surfaced, and support blossomed. A local bakery offered to provide treats for the fundraiser, children volunteered to perform skits for entertainment, and a few neighbors even offered to host potlucks to bring people together. A wave of energy surged through the gathering, igniting a fire of enthusiasm. For the first time, Apollo felt the grip of the community tightening in a way that felt genuinely supportive. But as the plans took shape, the rumors grew more ominous. A developer had his eye on the property, hoping to transform it into upscale condos, a shiny new piece to sprinkle on the neighborhood. Whispers stung harder than before, rippling through the crowd like a winter breeze carrying frost. The center doesn't stand a chance, someone muttered as they turned to leave. Apollo fought the urge to let doubt seep in. He had faced worse challenges, but the stakes felt higher now, and the whispers pulled at his heart. Desperation lingered. If he could just get the notice of the local government, maybe he could stall the development next week during the council meeting. It was a long shot, but Apollo had learned one thing. The strength of a community lay in its collective voice. Motivated, he called for another meeting to gather everyone ahead of the council discussions. The energy from the last meeting was still fresh, but as he looked out at the hesitant faces, he worried if that spark would survive. Would they feel empowered enough to stand alongside him? With a determined nod, Apollo made his decision. He would speak passionately about their shared history, the importance of the center, and the value it held for every family present. But as the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows through the old center's windows, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away, much like the memories tied to that place. What if this was the last chance to save the heart of their community? As he left the meeting, his throat constricted with anxiety, and a single thought consumed him. What would he do if they decided to abandon the fight? As Apollo faced the unknown, every step echoed the heartbeat of his community, and he knew he was ready to fight for every precious moment and memory they had left. But would he get the support he needed before it was too late? Apollo felt the weight of the silence following his heartfelt speech. As he stepped out of the community center into the crisp evening air, uncertainty settled like a heavy fog around him. He took a deep breath, hoping to find clarity amid his swirling thoughts. "Hey, Apollo." It was Maya, the passionate local teacher with a spirit that sparkled. She jogged to catch up, her face bright. "I just wanted to say I believe in what you're doing. The center has always been special to me, and I want to help. Let us organize a cooking class for families. We can raise some funds and awareness." A smile broke through Apollo's anxiety. "That is a fantastic idea, Maya. We can promote it as a healthy eating initiative. Plus, it'll bring everyone together." But even as he felt the warmth of her enthusiasm, doubt lingered. Would it be enough? "I'll spread the word to my students and their families," she promised, her eyes alight with purpose. "They need this place as much as we do." As she hurried off, Apollo reminded himself that support like this was what he needed. Slowly, the threads of hope began to weave through his mind, urging him to stay positive. He glanced at the sunset, colors bleeding into one another like the diversity of families that filled the community center's walls. But soon doubt crept back in. Would enough people rally around the center? He thought of the naysayers whispering behind closed doors. What if the council meeting turned into a fiasco? He shook his head, forcing a vision of the center bustling with laughter, activity, and life. That image had to be real, had to be fought for. The next day, he stood at his kitchen counter, scribbling down ideas for the meeting points to hit, stories to tell. Each stroke of the pen felt like armor against his growing fears. He recalled Mrs. Green's set of tools and the bakery's promise. The light from his window caught the pages, reminding him of the many hands that would weave their futures together. That evening, he caught a glimpse of the original plans for the center framed and hanging in his bedroom. It hadn't just been a place for gatherings. It had seen friendships blossom, children learn, and tears shed. Each line in the drawing echoed tales of connection and love. Deciding to visit some of the community members, Apollo ventured out, seeking their stories. At each doorstep, he felt a warmth welcoming him in. He learned of families that had used the children's playroom, visited after-school programs, and gathered for game nights, their lives entwined with the center's legacy. "Don't let them take this from us," said Mr. Parker, a veteran who had spent evenings teaching kids how to repair bikes. "This place is a lifeline." Apollo left Mr. Parker's house feeling a little less vulnerable, fueled by the fire in his neighbor's voice. The next few days were a blur of organizing, conversations, laughter, and even the occasional tear. Each connection reinforced his resolve. The community came alive for the cause. Then, the day of the council meeting arrived. Apollo felt the tremor in his stomach as he stood outside the town hall. A small group of supporters gathered behind him, their faces determined. As he turned to face them, he saw a mixture of fear and strength in their eyes. "Whatever happens today, remember why we fight," he said, his voice rising with passion. "This isn't just about saving a building. It's about saving who we are." They nodded, a silent affirmation. Yet, deep down, he wondered, was their united resolve enough to withstand the pressure from the developers? As they stepped through the doors, the weight of their decision loomed larger than ever. Would they rise up when their community needed them most? The moment they crossed the threshold into the town hall, Apollo's heart raced like a freight train. A line of tired but determined faces met them, the room buzzing with an uneasy energy. Tables sat arranged in a U-shape, making the council chamber feel both intimate and intimidating. City officials settled in, flipping through papers, their expressions impassive. Apollo looked around at his supporters. Maya, Mr. Parker, families clutching children, and people who shared their lives at the center. They were more than silent crowds. They were dreamers, fighting for their haven. The weight of their hopes rested heavily on his shoulders, but it was too late to turn back. When the chairperson called the meeting to order, a hush swallowed the room. First on the agenda, a proposal to redevelop the community center. A chill ran through Apollo. He fought the urge to glance at his supporters. This was the moment they prepared for. The developer stood up, smooth and polished, exuding confidence. "This is a prime location with potential," he began, painting a picture of glass and steel. "We'll enhance this area, bringing jobs and new businesses." Apollo could see his words wrapping around the council like a warm blanket, comforting yet suffocating. As lined faces nodded, Apollo's pulse quickened. He needed to remind them of what this place truly meant. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, the bright flicker of his fear clashing against the resolve bubbling inside him. "Excuse me, but this isn't just a property. It's our community." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The eyes of the council turned to him curiously. Every wall in that center holds memories. Kids have learned to read, teenagers have found mentors, and families have built traditions. He felt the warmth of Maya's hand press into his back for support. He continued, passion weaving through each word. "What happens if we lose this? We lose more than a building, we lose our connection, our roots. This center is alive, it's a home for families." The council members exchanged glances. Some seemed moved. Others remained stoic, their pencils tapping absent-mindedly against yellow legal pads. As he spoke, Apollo's heart fought against his ribs, each beat urging him to keep going. But then, a voice interjected, sharp and cold. "Emotions aside, what tangible benefits does this center provide? How can it compete with future developments? It was a council member whose name he did not know, but whose words felt like an icy dagger. Apollo swallowed hard. He searched for words, feelings swirling wildly in his gut. Weakness threatened to pull him under, but memories of laughter, smiles, and little victories flashed in his mind, a kaleidoscope of resilience. A building can't measure the impact of a community, Apollo said, regaining his footing. It's about hope, growth, and belonging. Each dollar spent at our center is an investment in our future. Show these kids they matter, and they'll become the backbone of this town. Pausing, he scanned the crowd. Several faces shone with belief, but others still brimmed with skepticism. He felt time stretching thick like syrup. Would it be enough? The council members began to whisper among themselves, and Apollo held his breath. Each second felt like an eternity. He needed this moment to turn into something more. And just when it seemed they might respond, the room fell silent. A younger woman in the back stood up, her voice authentic and strong. I learned to dream because of that center. Apollo is right. We can't lose it. A flutter of whispers erupted, echoing the strength of shared stories and sentiments. Apollo's heart surged with hope. This was their moment. Would this spark be enough to ignite a wildfire of support? As the discussion raged on, one question loomed larger than ever in his mind. What would become of their dreams if they lost this fight? The temperature in the room shifted as the younger woman spoke, her words igniting a flicker of hope among Apollo's supporters. He could see the faces of those who knew the value of their community center, eyes wide, lips pressed into firm lines. If only they could harness this energy and turn it into a united front, they might just have a chance. The chairperson cleared her throat, attempting to restore order. Let us keep our comments brief and focused on the proposal at hand. We cannot let emotions cloud our judgment. But it was too late. The emotions were already swirling, weaving an invisible bond between those gathered. From the back of the room, someone shouted out, "This isn't just about buildings. It's about families. It's about our kids." Applause erupted, and Apollo felt the subtle shift. The air was no longer stagnant. The developer stared at the raucous crowd, his polished facade cracking ever so slightly. He tried to regain control. With all due respect, he began, his tone dangerously calm. You have to think about the economic benefits. A shiny new complex will draw investment. Maya stepped forward, her voice confident and unwavering. And what about our investment in each other? That center keeps our families together. It gives kids a safe place to go after school. They deserve that. The council members exchanged uncertain glances, the whispers now louder and more animated. Apollo's heart raced, each beat echoing Maya's words. He felt the tide shifting, felt the impossible becoming just a bit more possible. Do you ever think about what it feels like to walk through those doors? Apollo called out, his voice rising above the clamor. It smells like cookies baking during a holiday event. It sounds like laughter echoing off the walls during movie nights. His words painted vibrant images, coaxing the memories to the surface of every heart in the room. He glanced at Mr. Parker, who nodded, urging him on. The community center isn't just a building. It's the soul of our town. We play together, learn together, and grow together. When you tear it down, you're tearing us apart. The room buzzed with energy, the humanity of their fight cutting through the corporate language of the proposal. People stood up, recalling their experiences, stories of friendships forged, mentors found, and yearnings fulfilled. Each moment shared was like a brushstroke on a communal canvas, painting the picture of what was at stake. But just as Apollo felt the electricity of belief ripple through the crowd, the developer interjected again, desperation creeping into his voice. This is about progress. Without modernization, this town will remain stagnant. Stagnation? A voice shouted back from the crowd. Isn't that what happens when we forget who we are? The argument escalated, clashing ideals filling the room. Apollo's mind raced as he tried to maintain focus. He needed to channel this, to unify everyone into a singular purpose. With a surge of conviction, he turned back to the council. This isn't about holding on to the past. It's about building a future together. A future for our children who deserve every chance to thrive. If we lose this center, we're not just sacrificing bricks and mortar. We are sacrificing the dreams of our children. Silence descended, heavy and laden with anticipation. All eyes turned to the chairperson, who looked equally taken aback and deliberative. The weight of the moment hung thick in the air. Apollo's eyes searched the room, landing on Maya, who smiled at him with unwavering support. "Please," he whispered to himself, the plea echoing in his heart. And as the chairperson began to speak, Apollo realized he could feel the collective heartbeat of the community rising, a pulsing reminder that together, they were stronger than any developer's vision. Would this moment be enough to change the course of their fate? Would the council heed their call for the soul of their community? As the words hung in the air, Apollo clenched his fists, ready for whatever came next. Because he knew deep down, this fight was just beginning. What shocking truth would emerge in the next steps of their struggle? The chairperson cleared her throat again, a small flutter of nerves dancing across her face. "Thank you for your passionate testimonies," she began, her words barely breaking the tension. "We understand the importance of the community center. However, we must also consider the proposal before us. Please allow me to remind you." Wait. It was Mr. Parker, eyes wide with urgency. He stood up suddenly, cutting off the chairperson with a wave of his hand. "If I could just add something? What do those economic benefits mean if we lose our community? Those benefits are only good if they enrich lives, if they nurture the kids we are fighting for." His voice rang out, making waves through the crowd. As they nodded in agreement, Apollo felt the winds of change swirling. It wasn't just about saving a building anymore. It had morphed into defending an entire way of life. With every passing second, the developer's features grew stormier. His confidence was evaporating in real time. "This is nothing but nostalgia," he barked, trying to recover his footing. "You can't hold on to the past forever. Progress demands sacrifice. What do you know about us?" A voice shouted from the back. Angela, a single mother who often brought her kids to the center. "You're a stranger here. You don't know what this place means." "You enough," the developer snapped, shaking his head. But the crowd had started to build momentum. They were no longer simply passive observers. They were stood on a precipice of change, voices rising like a chorus of loss and hope. Apollo stepped forward again, seeing the transformation of energy ripple into something tangible. "Every story we tell about this place isn't just about what we had, but what we're choosing to build right now. We're not against progress, we're about redefining it. You want to bring investment? How about investing in us instead of erasing us?" His words hung in the air, piercing through the tension like a ray of light. The audience absorbed them, a collective gasp echoing as the implications settled in. Apollo's heart raced, each beat affirming their shared belief. "Let us give our kids a say in this too. How can they build their futures if we don't even respect their past?" A chorus of voices erupted, sharing thoughts and hopes, calling on ideas that sparked new ways to merge the center's legacy with forward-looking visions. Maya stepped up once again, her eyes glinting with determination. "We can modernize. We can innovate while keeping our soul. Let us make this center a hub for everyone, a place where the old meets the new, where our children can thrive." It was like a key had turned in a long-forgotten lock. The community members began nodding fervently, building on each other's ideas, their passion igniting the room. They offered suggestions, throwing around terms like community tech workshops and fusion festivals. But then, just as the idea was beginning to blossom, the chairperson raised a hand, trying to regain control. "While this is powerful, we are here to discuss the proposal as it stands, a proposal we can reshape." Maya countered, her voice unwavering. "It is possible. Our voices matter, and they deserve to be woven into this fabric we are creating." Apollo's mind was a flurry of possibilities, hope flickering brighter with each voice that contributed. Muscles tense, he took in the scene. Overwhelmed faces filled with newfound confidence, forming a sea of unity in front of him. But just as the meeting pressed toward a climactic decision, a soft voice broke through the fray. "I know what it's like to be afraid of losing something you love." It was old Mrs. Latham, her hands trembling slightly as she spoke. But if we fight together, then this proposal might just be our lifeline, not our end. The room silenced, her heart-wrenching words piercing through the jovial air. We can't go back, but we can protect our children's future. Isn't that what we are all here for? Apollo felt the rush of emotions sweep over him. This was their moment, but the weight of decisions still loomed large. Would they seize the chance to protect what mattered most, or would they allow corporate influences to rewrite their story? Tension spiked as the chairperson prepared to give her ruling. What would she decide? Would it be the lifeline they hoped for or a shattering end? The answers lay beyond a thin thread of anticipation, an answer hovering just out of reach. Would they have the courage to reshape their fate? The chairperson's gaze swept over the crowd, her expression a mixture of uncertainty and authority. She took a deep breath, poised to speak, but the buzzing of anxious whispers swelled in the room like a storm about to break. Let us not forget, the chairperson began, struggling to establish her control. This proposal does come with potential funding and development. We need to weigh it against the community's needs. Potential funding? Mr. Parker shot back, anger flickering in his eyes. What good is money if it comes at the cost of who we are? If that means tearing apart our history, then I say it's not worth a dime. His words struck like a hammer, and murmurs of agreement echoed through the crowd. The room pulsed with energy. Everyone felt it, the fear, the hope, the determination. Apollo could barely keep up with his racing thoughts. This was more than just a discussion. It was a battle for identity. Their voices became ammunition against the looming threat of erasure. Maya stepped forward, her voice a cascade of passion. We don't have to choose between progress and our roots. No one knows this neighborhood better than we do. Let us show them what a true community looks like. Warmth swelled within Apollo's chest as he caught glimpses of familiar faces, each reflecting their unique stories, the laughter of children, the wise counsel of elders. The heart of the community beat steady in that room, but a woman from the back, someone Apollo didn't recognize, spoke up hesitantly. What if we made a proposal of our own? One that honors our past while looking to the future. We could create programs that attract the kind of investment we want. Hope shot through the air like a spark igniting a flame. Exactly, Apollo exclaimed, adrenaline coursing through him. We can bring in local artists, conduct workshops to teach our history, even design a mural or a community garden to embody what we stand for. The crowd erupted in excited chatter, throwing out ideas faster than Apollo could catch them. It was like a dam had burst, and the ideas poured out, blending dreams with plans, a community united in purpose. But above that sea of hope, a voice fought to make itself heard. We need to present something tangible and persuasive. We can't let them dismiss us as just nostalgic. It was Angela again, forceful and vulnerable all at once. Let us get to work right now. We need to come together and draft a vision for our future, something they can't ignore. The energy shifted, as if they had all come to a collective decision at that moment. This was not just about opposing the proposal anymore. It was about asserting their place and making their voices heard. Apollo felt the weight of a responsibility he had never anticipated, the power of it settling over his shoulders. Would they actually take this step? The idea of reshaping their future ignited something within him, a fire that propelled him forward even in the face of uncertainty. The chairperson attempted to regain some semblance of order, but it was pointless. Here, in this moment, Apollo knew what they needed to do. Let us split into groups. He climbed to the front again, determination pouring from him. We can break down tasks, let us create our proposal. We'll share our vision with the council and make it clear that we are not willing to compromise our community. As groups began to form, laughter and chatter erupted, filling the room with a sense of lively hope. Apollo couldn't help but smile, the spirit of unity refreshing amidst the chaos. But just as they began to gather materials and set plans in motion, a shadow fell across the doorway. The developer, arms folded, stood watching, his face twisted into an expression of contempt. You really think you can change this outcome? A hush fell over the room. Apollo's heart raced again, the tension rising as they all froze, awaiting their fate. Would this challenge serve as a catalyst, propelling them forward, or would it signal a more significant threat to their hopes? The moment teetered on a cliff, and just like that, they were faced with a crossroads, ready to fight or risk losing it all. Apollo's heart thundered in his chest, drowning out the murmurs of the crowd. The developer leaned against the doorframe, a picture of smug authority. The air was thick with uncertainty, but Apollo could feel the fire igniting within the crowd. Finally, someone broke the silence. "Who do you think you are?" Maya shouted, her voice fierce and unwavering. "You don't know us, our history, our dreams. We won't let you erase what makes this place home." The crowd behind her nodded vigorously, their expressions shifting from apprehension to resolve. Apollo felt that wave of spirit wash over him, renewing his determination. He took a step forward, eyes locked on the developer. "If you think we'll back down, you're mistaken. This isn't just a proposal. It's our community's heartbeat." The developer laughed, a hollow sound that echoed in the stillness. "Your passion is cute, but it won't change the reality. The council wants development, and I can bring it to them. You think a few paintings and gardens will hold weight against hard cash?" Despite the sneer in his voice, a flicker of uncertainty crossed the developer's face. Apollo noticed it. Perhaps the strength of community mattered more than mere dollars and cents. "This is about more than money," he shouted, voice steady and firm. "Our culture, our stories, our identity, all of it is priceless." The crowd cheered, their voices blending into a powerful chorus. Apollo could see the resolve firming in their eyes, the belief that they could make a difference. Feeling emboldened, he added, "Let us show him who we are. We'll create a vision so compelling they can't ignore us." The energy in the room surged, transforming doubt into action. Groups sprang into life, gathering papers, brainstorming ideas, scribbling words and sketches that spoke of their community's history and dreams. In the corner, Angela directed her group with purpose, radiating a quiet strength that encouraged others. Apollo moved closer to her. "We need a powerful introduction for our proposal. Something that will grab the council's attention." Angela nodded. "Let us tell our story. Highlight what makes us unique, our traditions, our talents. If they can see the real value in us, they'll think twice about their plans." Just then, a child's laughter cut through the tension. Apollo turned toward the sound and saw a few kids playing in a corner, their carefree spirit infectious. Inspiration struck him. What if we included a section about keeping the playground and community center? We can point out how it fosters community, nurtures our youth, and connects neighbors. The crowd erupted in support once more, buzzing with ideas and renewed enthusiasm. Projects began to take shape. An art collaborative, youth outreach programs, revitalizing historical landmarks. Each shared word reinforced their bond, creating a vision that spoke to their collective identity. But through the jubilance, the shadow of the developer loomed. He lingered, arms crossed, waiting for them to exhaust themselves. A calculated move. It was unsettling to think that he could snuff out their bright flame with a single decision that as the planning session took on a life of its own. Apollo felt a mix of excitement and dread. Could they truly find a plan powerful enough to resonate with the council? Would their voices become the anthem of change? As the proposal began to take form, they turned their focus toward gathering more insights, opinions from elders and other community members. They agreed to hold another meeting in 4 days. Apollo wondered if they could achieve everything needed in that short time. "Let us reconvene and fine-tune everything," Angela said. "We can't let him disrupt our momentum. This is just the beginning." Her determination inspired Apollo and the others. He could see it in their faces, grit mixed with hope. They were no longer just individuals fighting against an unknown. They had risen together as a community. But just as they felt invigorated by the plans they were forging, the developer turned on his heel, a satisfied grin spreading across his lips. "Good luck, folks. You'll need it," he muttered, walking out with a confident stride. The finality of his words hung heavy in the air, striking a nerve. What if their idea wasn't enough? What if the council sided with the developer despite their collective efforts? The room fell silent again, a chilling reminder of the stakes at hand. Would their plans hold up against the looming threat? What lay ahead? Apollo could hardly breathe as he faced the realization. The battle had only just begun. Apollo couldn't shake the knot of anxiety tightening in his gut. The laughter of the children echoed in stark contrast to the stern face of the developer. He was all business, cutting through their joy like a knife. That nagging feeling grew. Was their passion enough? He glanced at Angela, whose eyes were now filled with both determination and worry. They needed every bit of strength they could muster. "All right, everyone," he called out, steadying his voice to keep the fear at bay. "We have 4 days to present a vision that truly represents us. We can't just tell them who we are, we have to show them." Eager heads turned. The discussions resumed, but with a flicker of urgency. Ideas bounced from one person to another, a lively exchange feeding their growing momentum. Apollo picked up a large sheet of paper and set it on the table. Someone rushed forward with a marker. "Let us brainstorm key points," he said, flipping open a notebook filled with sketches and scribbled notes. "What do we want to convey?" Angela stepped forward, adding her thoughts. "Our culture, our food, music, festivals. Let us highlight everything that makes us unique. The developers might see numbers, but we'll show them faces. Real stories." The group nodded, electrified by her words. Apollo could almost feel the energy pulsing off the walls. They shared tales from the past of vibrant celebrations, community gatherings, and the colorful culture that thrived in their neighborhood. Each story was a thread, weaving a rich tapestry of shared history. It became clear to Apollo that they weren't just fighting for space. They were fighting for memories, connections, and the future of generations yet to come. As they worked late into the night, the mood shifted. Ideas morphed into plans, and laughter broke through the tension. But with each laugh, doubt still lurked in the corners. The clock was ticking relentlessly. Apollo would pause and glance at the faces around him. They were hopeful, yes, but also fatigued. Their lives were filled with work, responsibilities, and now the fight for something greater. Hours passed, and Apollo could feel their collective drive faltering. The developer's taunting words echoed in the back of his mind. "You'll need it." Stung, he had to do something. "Let us take a break," he suggested, his voice firm yet kind. They went outside into the cool night air, and Apollo felt the chill against his skin, a stark reminder of the stakes. He gathered them in a circle beneath the glowing streetlight. "Look at us," he said softly. "We're doing this together. Remember what we're fighting for? Not just for us, but for the kids playing in our parks, for the stories of our elders." Seeing the community spirit flickering back to life filled Apollo with warmth. Maya spoke next, her voice steady. "Whatever happens, we've already shown that we're stronger together than apart. Even if they don't listen, we've already authored a new chapter to our story." The resolve in her words sparked something deep within Apollo. They were building more than just a proposal. They were reigniting a pine in a joint flame. That night, ideas flowed again, and his heart swelled. The focus shifted from fear to action. But as they re-entered the room, Apollo's phone buzzed with a message. It was from a fellow community member. "I heard the council is meeting sooner than anticipated. Tomorrow morning." His pulse quickened. They had to be ready, and they had no time to waste. The developer's smug grin replayed in his mind, and doubt flickered again, but not for long. "Tomorrow," he whispered, bracing himself. "Everything changes." They had just a short span to rally everyone and finalize their presentation. The stakes were higher than they had imagined. But through it all, Apollo felt a sense of hope flickering brighter. What if tomorrow is the day everything comes to a head? He wondered, heart pounding. But could they truly be ready when time was against them? The morning sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the dusty streets of the neighborhood, where Apollo had spent his entire life. The air buzzed with anticipation, a feeling palpable among the small crowd gathered outside the community center. They were ready, united under a common cause, each face reflecting determination. Anxiety danced in Apollo's stomach, but as he glanced at his fellow neighbors, a sense of purpose washed over him. Today's the day, he whispered to himself, tightening the notebook in his grip. The proposal was sketched out, filled with dreams, hopes, and the undeniable essence of their community. He took a moment to breathe and stepped into the bright light spilling through the center's doors. Inside, families huddled together, laughter mingling with the seriousness of their shared mission. Apollo felt a spark ignite. Each familiar face reminded him of all they stood to lose. "Let us do this," he said aloud, and the echo of encouragement filled the room as they prepared. Maya rallied the group to finalize their points, drawing everyone's focus back to the memories that made their proposal more than just a document. It was a testament to their identity. "Remember that game night we had?" Someone called, laughter erupting as a vivid picture of the competitive spirit among friends came to life. "And the community picnic. We can include the diversity of our events," came another voice, bolstering the optimism in the room. Apollo smiled, letting the warmth of the camaraderie envelop him. As they gathered in a circle, he noticed the support shining through the eyes of everyone present. These were not just words. They were the heartbeats of their community. Arriving at the town hall, the atmosphere crackled with tension. The council members sat behind their desk, stern and unmoving, while all the community waited expectantly. Apollo could feel his heart pounding, but he reminded himself of the stories he carried within him. This was their moment to take a stand. When the chairperson called for the community's presentation, Apollo stepped forward, his legs steady. "Good morning," he began, his voice carrying over the quiet murmurs. "Today we're not just here to save a building. We're protecting the heart of our community." The crowd erupted in applause, fueling his spirit. "This center has been a gathering place for generations. It's where friendships bloom and dreams take flight. It's a cradle for laughter and hope. If we lose it, we lose who we are." As he spoke, faces in the room softened. Nods of understanding rippled through the chamber. Feeling the unity behind him, Apollo encouraged their stories to flow. One after another, voices rose. Mrs. Green shared her memories of crafting classes. Maya spoke of the importance it had for her students, and Mr. Parker recounted how they had taught children practical skills. With every narrative, the emotional weight of their cause seemed to swell. But the developer was not done yet. He interrupted sharply, attempting to drown out their passion with logic and figures, presenting spreadsheets and economic benefits as if they could overshadow their heartfelt dreams. Just as Apollo felt the tension rising, Mrs. Latham stood, her small frame yet powerful voice cutting through the noise. "Does money matter more than the hugs exchanged here or the dreams we cultivate? How will wealth matter without community?" A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd, reinforcing the bond among them. Apollo's heart soared. This was it. He stepped back into the spotlight. "We're not against progress, but we need to redefine what that means. We can coexist with development, but not at the cost of our identity." Imagine a community center serving as a hub of culture, connecting the old with the new. As he spoke, the council began to lean in, faces shifting from indifference to intrigue. The energy transformed, and the zesty, raw passion of the crowd grew into a chorus of hope. Finally, the chairperson cleared her throat. "Thank you for your compelling arguments. We'll need to review all points presented, but I assure you your words today struck a chord." As the meeting concluded, Apollo felt his pulse steadying. They had done it. More than just words on a page, they had shared a part of themselves, a piece of their spirit, with those who had the power to decide their fate. Outside, the sun shone a little brighter, warming the community's collective heart. Friends clapped each other on the back, exhilarated after pouring their souls into that room. Apollo stepped to the front and raised his hands, and silence fell gently, like a blanket of solidarity. "Together, we have fought to save our community. No matter the outcome, we have affirmed our strength. We are a family." As cheers erupted, a radiant smile spread across Apollo's face. They were more than just neighbors. They were a tapestry of resilience, a family rooted in shared stories. A few weeks later, news came the council would keep the community center operational. A wave of joy rippled through them as they celebrated, tears and laughter mingling. They would revitalize it, making it a vibrant space for generations to come. In the end, Apollo realized it wasn't just about saving a place. It was about discovering the power of community, the power of unity, the power of hope. "Let us keep building," he said, echoing through the joyful chatter. "Our future starts now." And as they gathered for one last celebration at the center, laughter and dreams danced through the air, reminding everyone that they had won something beyond a building. They had reclaimed their home. Now, don't wait. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Trust me, it truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Your thoughts matter. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.